If you are not careful, self-awareness can actually be one of the most dangerous things that you learn. If you've watched any of my other content, you're like, literally, Carly, that's all you've been telling me to do for the last 2 years. And I get it. But there is a very real danger to learning about the brain, learning about abusive relationships, understanding what a trauma bond is, understanding the chemical makeup, understanding all of this stuff. Because when we understand and we learn all of this, we begin to think that we are above it and we are immune to it, and we are no longer going to be impacted by it. Self-awareness is 100% super freaking important, which is why I advocate for it all the time. But if you don't take the time to recognize that your self-awareness does not make you immune to your human reaction, you're going to end up undoing all of this work that you've spent so much time and effort on. Recently, I was in a situation where I was talking to a person that I am not particularly fond of. This person is very triggering for me, and I knew going into it that if I did not maintain control of the situation, I was going to end up spiraling. What did this other person do when confronted with information they did not want to hear? They flipped it back on me, made it all about them, and tried to make me feel bad and just to get a rise out of me. And to be completely honest, it worked. Y'all, I teach this stuff for a living, and I still got caught up. Does this mean that I am doomed to never heal? Does this mean that healing doesn't actually exist and we just shouldn't bother? Absolutely not. But the reality here is that even though I knew all of this, even though I have a very logical understanding and an aerial view, I was still susceptible to it. Why? Because I'm still human. Because just because I know how the brain works does not mean I'm immune to how the brain works. And when this happens, we can end up beating ourselves up over it. And we walk away from the situation going, oh my gosh, why did I let him get to me? Why did I let her say that? What's wrong with me? Am I broken? You're not broken, boo. You are beautifully, imperfectly human. And because you are human, you're going to react to things like a human would. The power of self-awareness is knowing and recognizing what's happening so you don't end up falling into the belief that you're not enough, the belief that you deserve it, the belief that you don't have control. Taking the time to step back and analyze is a great trait. But if you analyze from a sense of judgment and you analyze to put yourself down and to just basically take the wound and rip it open, not so great. Instead, use the self-awareness to get curious. Walk away from the situation and go, oh, that sucked. But let's think about it for a second. Why did I react like that? What triggered me? Is this pointing me to something I need to do more work on? Or is this pointing me to this direction of knowing that I am actually human and there's no way to be perfect? The other way I want you to look at it is I want you to find ways that you've improved. In this particular situation that I referenced, I caught myself getting caught up. I caught my voice rising. I caught myself playing into the game. I caught myself looking into the smirky grin, recognizing that I gave this person exactly what they wanted. And then I felt the anger rise in my gut. And I was so angry because I got caught up and I wanted to smack that smirk right off their face. But instead, I physically took a step back and I turned around and I took a deep breath. I counted to 3. I turned back around and I said, you're allowed to have whatever opinion you want about me, but this is not what we are talking about right now. I regained control of the situation. I regained control of my reaction, even though my hands were shaking, even though it was so hard for me to get the words out because I could feel my throat closing in on itself, even though I heard all of these voices in my head telling me that I should just shut up, that I shouldn't have said anything, that I should let it go, that all of this stuff. I ignored it all. And I recognized what was happening and I took control. And what happened when I regained control? The situation shifted, the energy shifted, and this person realized that they couldn't manipulate me like that anymore. And we had the conversation and it was done. I am not saying that it's been perfectly easy. I still have words that are jumbled around on the inside of my brain. I still have to deal with the voices that fight me, because these voices that say we're not enough, the voices that say that we're not worthy, the voices that say that it was our fault, I truly don't believe that those voices will ever truly stop. What I do believe, however, is that we have to continue to fight back against them anyway. We have to understand the origin of them. And if we understand that the origin of those words were people that were trying to harm us, that if the origin of these words were people trying to protect us, we have to look back and go, okay, I understand where that comes from, and I don't have to believe it anymore. That doesn't mean it turns it off, but it means that we can create a strategy to fight back. Maybe your way of fighting back is grabbing a "You Are Enough" sweatshirt. Link in the description for that. Maybe it's journaling. Maybe it is sitting down on the shower floor, turning on the water as hot as you can bear and just bawling. Spoiler alert, I did that. But I never ever want to make it sound like I think it's easy, because it's not. The process of working through these things may seem simple, but simple and easy are two different things. It is simple to sit down with your journal every night and just put pen to paper, but it's not easy, because you could sit down and look at that blank page, or you could sit down and you could have your Worthy of Recovery journal and you're looking at it and there's a prompt and you're just like, I don't know how to answer that. I don't even know how to start. And that doesn't mean that you're broken and that it should be easier. It means that you're human. And we've got to begin to recognize our humanity, especially on our recovery journey. It is especially important to look for those moments where you've grown and look for reasons to celebrate. Maybe you can't see the celebration right away, and that's okay. Maybe you're not able to see in that moment that you took a breath and walked away. Maybe you can't see in that moment that you only cried for 4 hours instead of 4 days. Take some time to reflect back and go, you know what? Normally, I get caught up and I get so jumbled that I end up apologizing for their mistakes, and I didn't this time. Even though I couldn't stop my hands from shaking, and even though they saw how scared I was, I still stood up for myself. Find little things to be proud of yourself for. Your brain ain't gonna like it. Your brain's gonna tell you, that's no big deal. Everybody should be able to do that. That's not hard. And you can acknowledge your brain. You could say, all right, I hear you, but I'm going to celebrate this. I'm going to link right here to a video that you can watch that's going to walk you through how to celebrate those little victories. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today, and never forget that you are strong, you are capable, you are intelligent, and boo, you are so freaking worthy.